Hey, everybody, welcome to Monday Night Live in Lexington, you guys. Good to see you on a Monday night. Man, what a dreary day. And I was saying this yesterday, too. Let me get the comments section up here so I can see everybody hopping on. Hey to all you guys over here on Instagram. Good to see you. Do a little shout out and wave for you. Oh, my goodness. I'm telling you. Let me check the Facebook feed and make sure that it's going okay. Thanks to all you guys on the Instagram. We never have any problem with the feed over there. Okay, well, everything looks okay for a change on Facebook. Thank you. I will be kind of hopping back and forth to look at the comments. Magical Monday indeed, Melissa. Can you give me a sound check? Make sure my sound is okay. And a special shout out to Wicked Fairy Tale. Hey to you. Good to see you tonight. We've got a lot of dreams to cover this evening. So the way this works, because those of you that are tuning in may not understand what the open dream interpretation night is. People will message me their dreams to have them anonymously interpreted every month on the dream show. Now, of course, if I don't get enough dreams sent in, we don't have a dream show. But sometimes it's just a matter of me reminding people to send them in. Special shout out to Charles Biggs. Good to see you tonight. Hello. How has everybody's weekend been? And everybody back to work now. Big bummer, huh? Special shout out to Anna Thompson. Good to see you tonight. Let me do some likes here. Get everybody liked before we get too far into this. All right. So we got several here. Now, what the whole purpose of doing the dream show is to show you kind of how to interpret the dreams yourself. So if I kind of step through each dream and tell you why I'm interpreting it the way that I am, that helps you kind of figure out in your dreams more of how to look at the full dream, context of the dream, kind of section it out and interpret things yourself. Now, there can be more than one interpretation for each dream. And, if I feel like the dream has more than one interpretation, I'll let you know, like this could be interpreted this way instead of another way. So, we'll go over that too. Also, if a dream is sent in and it doesn't have very many details, you're not going to get a really in-depth kind of analysis of it. Usually, when your subconscious gives you specific colors, specific things, it has a meaning for that. Now, other times, the dream will just go with a basic meaning and sort of all the details don't really matter. So it really is just looking at each particular one and in the context of how it's presented and what all's going on in it. Let me make sure that no one has any questions before we get started. Hey to Robin Barber, good to see you tonight. And Jamie over here on Instagram, good to see you. All right. Okay. So let's just hop right into the first dream. I'm going to first read them and then I'm going to go back and kind of step through how I interpret these. Okay, so this one starts off with, when I was a child, maybe 7 or 8, I remember dreaming that I was standing in front of a department store window holding my mother's hand. We were dressed in clothing, I would say, from the 1940s. I remember that I thought my mother was very pretty and I felt very loved. I kind of felt that the store was in Paris and I got the feeling that we were rather well-to-do. And then this person goes on to say that they were born in late 1949. So, um, there's not too many details here, but just going by the feeling that it was 1940, and that only thing I really get from this is the feeling. I mean, the feeling is the main thing that's important in this, and that's just a lot of love for the person that's with them. And since they were born in 1949, this is most likely a past life memory, um, because they say that it was 1940s. The feeling of the dream was 1940s. And they get a location, and the location feels like to them Paris. So, some of my questions to the person would be, do you have an affinity for Parisian type of items or food? That's another thing that can sort of give a hint to a past life, sometimes heavy, strong food preferences have a large imprint of a past life memory. So to me, this sounds like a past life. Um, let's see, what else did I write in my notes on here? Mm. Now, okay, here's the only thing that bothered me about this is usually past lives, you're going to see at least 30 to 40, if not 50 years in between incarnations, unless there's some traumatic event and they reincarnate pretty rapidly. Now, since this was the impression was 1940s, it could be that maybe these people were killed in World War II, and so maybe that's why the person reincarnated early. Now, the time frame in between incarnations is not constant. Sometimes it'll be 80 years, but that's kind of rare. But if you look at the documentation and the average time frame, it's usually anywhere from 30 to 40 years, unless there's a traumatic event. So let me make sure there's no questions here. All right. Wicked Fairy Tale says, interesting about preferences, food, places, things being tied to past lives. Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's say you have somebody who's born in eastern Kentucky in the mountains, but for some reason they have a strong preference for Oriental black tea. That could be an indicator of a past life of being some kind of Asian type of um, from an Asian type of influence. So, a lot of times it is the food that kind of gives away what a past life was. So that's I think that this dream was a past life memory. Okay. Now, the next one is a therapy session in which the person is with their father and talking to a therapist, and it's sort of like a test or something. And so they're saying, I was able to avoid answering dad for the minute as the secretary interrupted. And this is the secretary of the therapist. She was detailing that after she answered some questions, the brainwave looking results on the white paper of the book were hers. News. Okay, so I recall a question being similar to how emotionally would you be if you lost a pet? Emotionally charged questions related to pet loss. Dad and I were interrupted by a second time by the therapist stating that he had canceled a man's noon appointment and it was 11:40 by the clock on the wall. I thought that was ridiculous. The therapist came back to the break area where Dad and I were seated. Two teenage girls were cleaning the sink or dishes. The therapist asked the girls to leave. They exited into a wide hallway through swinging double doors. Once again, the therapist tried to start a session with me. He appeared frustrated that He had made several attempts to talk. He couldn't connect, and he left the room. I recall seeing 2:45 by the clock on the wall. At some point through all of this, my paper had been completed. Dad said he didn't know anything about therapy, although he could ask the question in the book. I felt Dad wanted to be the therapist, do the talking, and assist in working through whatever was going on. I don't know myself what this was really about. With some level of confidence, Dad proceeded to ask the question of emotional ties to pets and how I felt about the question. These stark white pages with questions typed on them haunted me from the beginning for some reason. I awakened as Dad was reading the question. I awakened without giving him the answer. I don't recognize the secretary or the two girls. I don't remember any of the colors standing out, mostly floating in the spaces and only a feeling of the areas. Okay, this one is a little bit, it doesn't flow real well, but I did get some things from it. So what I get from the therapy session with the dad. So the dad is, it's a visitation with this person's father. The father is trying to facilitate this therapy session. So there's a new spirit guide that is trying to make a connection with this person, but like they said in the dream, the therapist can't connect, meaning the new spirit guide has been trying and trying to get through to this person, but they're experiencing blocks. And these are emotional blocks because they refer to emotions and loss 2 or 3 times in the dream. Okay. Now, it's significant the times of noon and 11:40. The meaning behind 12 o'clock, again, is emotions and relationships. In numerology, each number has a specific meaning, and noon or 12 relates to emotions and relationships, which is the main thing that the therapist is trying to get at in this session. Let me check Facebook really quick, make sure that we're good there. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Then she notices that the clock is 11:40, which is almost noon. Now, the meaning behind 11:40 is we create our own realities, and also it refers to following through with plans. So there's some kind of lack of follow through in dealing with emotions and relationships for this person, and that's what this new spirit guide is trying to get the person to look at and to accept. Now, let's see. The therapist finally gives up, which means the spirit guide that's been trying to communicate with them just kind of disconnects because they are having too many blocks occur. So, because the father is a type of spirit guide, he steps in and tries to become the therapist. Now, so again, they're going over emotional ties and loss, which means maybe the person is not facing some kind of emotions. They're creating blocks and they're unable to connect with this new spirit guide. The two girls that are washing dishes, and that is the energy of 2 ones appearing twice. Okay. So what that means is that it's 2 ones that are appearing 2 times. And that kind of mirrors that 11:40 time. So my best suggestion for the person would be to maybe have some hypnotherapy done so that they could see why they're creating blocks to this emotional relationship type of issue. And it would be really nice if they could connect with the new spirit guide that has been trying to come through. Okay, let me make sure there's no questions that I can see anywhere. All right, here's another one. Let's see. Now this dream is a person whose mother shows up in the dream. And they say, Mom walked to a desk. She opened the right drawer of this small, unfamiliar, white trimmed in gold 2-drawer desk. I feel like a chair was present. She pulled a white single sheet of paper with typewriting back on the back, revealing the exact box she kept her belongings in. And that she's referring to jewelry that she had given me prior to her death that my sibling had taken issue with. And now the mother doesn't speak. She's silent, and she pushes the drawer closed, and then they walk back down the hall to the steps. Okay, so the drawer is somewhere hidden or somewhere kind of safe. It's a hidden spot. It's a safe spot. And the significance is that the drawer is on the right, which means that the information is going through the right brain. In this communication between her and her mother. Again, it's a visitation. Now, the fact that the desk is white, trimmed with gold, is a spiritual connotation. And she's alluding to the box where she kept her belongings. And this is some, jewelry that she was given prior to the mother's passing that one of her siblings has taken issue with. So the fact that she's showing this drawer to the lady says that she is confirming that, yes, I wanted you to have this jewelry, even though your sister has an issue with it. And it's sort of just her message to her daughter in a visitation that she definitely wanted her to have this. And she's showing her, in this drawer. And that's sort of just like her putting her stamp of approval on I'm showing you where it is, meaning I gave it to you. And I definitely wanted you to have it. And the fact that the desk is white and some of the other stuff is white is just alluding to the spiritual nature of the message. Okay. Let's see if I wrote anything else on it. Okay. All right. This is a continuation of the dream. So after the drawer thing, she's going down the steps to go out when she sees the railing at our house when I lived at home. So I'm assuming, because she doesn't say, I'm assuming that's the childhood home. I started to think Dad had brought several things to his house from our other house. The railing had been cracked in removal and reinstallation and didn't appear to fit in this space. I made my way to the outside, closing the screen door on this house. I noticed it didn't close evenly. I mentioned this to Dad as he continued to stand on the sidewalk. I felt like he acknowledged my comment, but went on observing his workers. Next, I believe it may have been the garage door being lifted up. As the door was lifting, it wasn't aligned properly, and it was lifting the red roof, making a rip between the roof and the house as it went up. I interrupted Dad to tell him this needed his attention as well. I received one of my dad's, we aren't going to do maintenance right now. We only have a cleaning crew here right now. Okay, so this is significant because, there's a reference to the railing being cracked and not installed correctly. There's also a reference to the screen door not closing evenly. There's also the garage door not being aligned. So a lot of things in the life are not working. And she's telling her father, this is not working, this is not working. But I feel like that the reason why several things are brought up that aren't working is because the person themselves has to fix the life. If you notice, the railing is a support thing. It's something you support yourself on to go down the steps. So it's a supportive type of thing. The roof is a security type of thing because you have to have, what's that old saying? Got to have a roof over your head. Okay. So, the roof and the railing are very significant of basic support and basic needs. And, the roof of the house and that can also be an analogy for the mind. So I think the dad says we aren't going to do fixing it right now because we only have a cleanup crew, meaning I feel like she has to be the one who fixes the life instead of asking for help. In other words, asking for help is not going to fix things because these things are showing up as somebody's tried to fix them and they haven't done a good job. So I feel like it's the person's responsibility to go back properly and try to fix exactly what's wrong. So, and that could have a different meaning, but I really feel like since things are being brought up several times that are not fixed correctly, that these issues are maybe hers to fix and not necessarily the father's to step in and help with. So Ina says, is it common to have dreams of past lives? I've heard that young children often recall things from past life. I wish I had known that when my daughter was little. Yes, it's very, very common to have dreams of past lives, and a lot of people have those, but they just don't recognize that it is a past life memory. Good evening to Sheila. Good to see you tonight. Paula says, repeat drums, running down a sidewalk with fire chasing me. I was very young. Okay, Paula, I'm going to have more than that, more details than that. And special shout out to Mick Gillicuddy. Good to see you. Yeah. Okay, let's carry on here. Okay, so this dream, the person says that they left a narcissistically abusive marriage and have a suspicion that the parent growing up was a narcissist as well. So the dream starts with them going to the house that they grew up in, and their ex and mother were both living there. Okay, then they claimed they were now a couple and that they wanted nothing to do with me. In utter shock, I stood in the yard, frozen. My daughter ran into the yard and said, let's go home. My cell phone rang. It was my dad passed away, and he and the mother had divorced in 1990-ish. The father tells the person he's very proud of them for leaving the marriage and that no matter what happens, he'd always be watching over them, and said, you'll be okay, kid. And that was something that was common for him to say from the past. Then they hang up the phone and look across the street and see a guy that have been on and off dating. He smiles at them, and they want to walk up to him, but I had my girl next to me, so I didn't. The last thing before I woke up was my daughter smiling at me and taking my hand saying, Mom, I got you, we're okay. Okay, so this is a visitation, And the fact is that the ex and the mother are of the same resonant frequency, and both are narcissistic, and so they both resonate in the same narcissistic resonancy, and that's why she's told, we don't want to have anything to do with you, because she's not even in the same category of frequency than they are, which is not a bad thing, but you know, it's sort of meant to damage the person, just like a narcissist does. They will do and say things that are specifically designed to be hurtful. So the father shows up to, give some support and reassurance that you did the right thing by leaving the marriage. And it could be that this comes up because maybe in the subconscious, the person was, like, did I do the right thing? And this was the subconscious's way of saying, yes, you're not even in the same frequency as these people. And yes, you did the right thing. And then the father shows up to say, you're going to be fine. You did the right thing. And then the daughter kind of reiterates that. Now, it's this is a reassurance visitation. So, yeah, I was looking to see. Floriana says she dreams of her father hugging her. He's passed away a long time. Yes, and especially if you could feel him in the hug, that is a visitation. It's not a dream. And that is when spirits actually use the dreamscape to visit you. And often you will be able to touch and feel them. So let me refresh the Facebook page because I think I'm missing a couple of comments. Sandra says, like the father isn't going to get involved. Yep. So, but on the dream about the narcissist, the dad's very supportive. But that's a visitation. Definitely is a visitation. Let's see, I've got two more here. And I got a bunch of other dreams that we're going to have a January show because I got a bunch more of other dreams sent in. It's like I didn't have any for a while, and then boom, I get like a deluge of them. So we're going to have a January show as well. This one is kind of short, and I wish I had more details about it. But this person says that they're at the end of the parents' driveway, and they look at a dove flying towards them. And they believe it landed on them, but what stood out to them was its white wing approaching them, which felt so angelic. Now, that's not a lot of detail. Now, the fact that they're standing at the end of their parents' driveway is symbolic for them being an extension of the parents. What meaning that has, I don't know. I need more than that. I need more details. They see a white dove flying towards them, and it lands on them. And the significance behind this is, of course, angelic and spiritual, but there's something significant about the fact that the wing stands out. And the wing is specifically relating to transcendence and courage, or going beyond, like going beyond walking. Here we're flying. We're transcending, we're going beyond, the wing is flying. So to me, this is angelic encouragement to go farther, to have courage, to do more, that, she's blessed by angelic help. And so that's what it means to me. So I wish I had more, because this would be a good one to really dissect. Hey to Paranormal Connections, good to see you tonight. So Wicked Fairy Tale says, wow, so interesting. So do people who are like narcissists, abusive, etc., are different frequencies. Makes me think of soulmates, which are often trauma bonds. Yes. And that is why this is one of the main questions that I get from people who have like a mom and a dad who are passed away. And a lot of times the people will want to know, are my mom and dad together on the other side? Most often, yes, but there are situations that the mom and the dad are different frequencies. They have a joining point where they've shared lives and memories to where they can come together and enjoy each other's company. But if their basic resonant frequencies are different, then they kind of exist in two different sort of levels. Now, can people give me another sound check? Because it looks like Charles just lost his sound. Anybody here on Facebook, can you give me a sound check real quick? And let me know if my sound is still okay. Let's see. How about Wicked Fairy Tale? Do I still have sound for you? Let me type in the comments real quick. Okay, so Charles, maybe it's a connection. Yes, because other people have sound. Okay, good deal. All right, so yeah, I wish I had more detail on the angel wing dream. Okay, so let's go over the last one here. Okay, so this person says, I was in an unknown house in a neighborhood which had a Jack and Jill bathroom. And for those of you that don't know what a Jack and Jill bathroom is, it's a bathroom with two doors. I went to the bathroom to wash my hands, and some extreme force of air or energy was trying to pull me in the room, which was dark, but I could see it was a bedroom. I held on to the door frame extremely tight for minutes and for dear life, which seemed like forever, while some type of energy was pulling on my right arm. When I looked behind me, because this was a bathroom with two doors, I saw my brother and his date sitting down as if they did not see me and couldn't hear me screaming. And so she's screaming, "You can't have me, you can't take me." I called for my brother to come and help me. He came and started pulling on me to get me out and away from the energy. Once I was pulled out of the bathroom, I looked at my right arm and I had two large lumps on my arm, and one near my wrist and one near my elbow from being pulled by forces. Then I started walking down the hall. Something was pulling me from the back of my robe. This time, my brother shouted out, "Something is pulling on your robe." I had to struggle again to get loose. Then finally, I was walking and my left ankle was weighed down or being pulled on. Then I yelled out, "It's pulling my leg." My brother said to get the smudge spray on the table. I grabbed it and sprayed, which seemed to make very little difference. Okay, so the letter 2 or the number 2 comes up in this dream quite a bit. Not only through the Jack and Jill doors on the bathroom, but then also the two large lumps that come on the arm. Okay, so 2 can relate to emotional balance or imbalance. And I'm feeling more of some kind of imbalance, and it really seems to me, now I know this person is highly empathic, and I feel like that there is an imbalance, and that's why the number 2 keeps coming up. And the fact that they reference the right side a couple of times, again, I feel like is sort of pointing the finger to the right brain and this information is being channeled through the right brain. Definitely something is trying to manipulate her or get her from what she's saying. What I feel like here, and especially because this is a bathroom that is kind of circles around this whole thing, is that this person, since they're empathic, may have incurred an attachment and they need a proper cleansing and clearing of this attachment. Now, to clear or cleanse an attachment takes more than just, a smudge. And so I think that that's why the smudge spray on the table doesn't work or is not effective, because, clearing this extra attachment energy or cleansing it takes a little bit more things to do. Now, another thing is, and this is especially important when you get smudge utensils or a smudge spray or things like that, it's really important that these things are consecrated before you use them. Otherwise, they have less of an efficacy. Okay, they may or may not work depending on the strength of what you're coming up against. So, and so be careful of where you purchase your stuff. Make sure that it's consecrated for clearing and cleansing. But if you're worried about that, you can consecrate or an item. You don't have to have a priest necessarily do it. All you need to do is to have a really good protective psalm or protective prayer of your derivation of whatever spiritual path you're on, and hold the item in your right and left hand, because you want both energies to circle around it, and go ahead and make sure that you say those protective enchantments or prayers over the item before you use it. So my recommendation to this person is to have either acupuncture treatment to remove the attachment, because remember, acupuncturists are the experts at body energy, and they are very effective at removing attachments. So she can go and get an acupuncture treatment. She can have a more thorough auric cleansing from any kind of energy practitioner. She can do it herself through, making sure that her items are consecrated first, using the smudge, using the spray, and then maybe doing like a consecrated salt scrub or salt bath. And that should take care of it, because empaths are always picking stuff up. And anytime an empath is at a funeral home or a hospital or near a graveyard, it's an easy place to pick up these attachments. So let me check for last minute questions. So Wicked Fairy Tale says, well, didn't know about acupuncture for energy cleansing of attachments. It's one of the best things that I've come across on getting rid of attachments, because the acupuncturist is trained to know what's your flowing body energy and what is not your body energy. So, and I usually refer people over to Blue Lotus Acupuncture. I think they're down on Versailles Road now. And they're used to taking care of situations like this. And unfortunately for us empaths, we have a bad habit of dragging stuff home with us continually. So if you can, if you're empathic, you really should develop some kind of, things that you do on a regular basis to keep your body energy clear. Or cleanse. The consecrated salt baths are great. I like to sit and use a singing bowl to force the energy through my body and to clear out whatever's trying to attach. And that, for me, works very, very well. So I urge you guys to develop your own way of cleansing and clearing, and kind of keep your toolbox of stuff ready, because you never know when you're going to come home and you just can feel that oppressive extra energy kind of down on top of you. And it's just a good idea to know how to clear everything out yourself. I hope you guys enjoyed the dream interpretation night. Like I said, I've got a bunch to present for you in January. And until then, you guys have a fabulous week. And kisses from Kentucky, and I will see you Friday for Fun Friday. Bye now.